Hello everyone, and welcome to another horrific review. Steve and I are back as we continue our look into the Hammer horror franchise with The Mummy Shroud, directed by John Gilling. In 1920, an archaeological expedition discovers a tomb of an ancient Egyptian child prince. Returning home with their discovery, the expedition members soon find themselves being killed off by a mummy, which can be revived by reading the words of the prince's burial shroud. This movie was made on a budget of £160,000. Welcome back, Steve. It has been a minute,
Hello.
eh?
Hey, did you saw that photo I sent you of the in the art gallery of the alien statue, life size alien statue, didn't you?
Yeah, yeah.
All made out of metal bits. Yeah, they wanted £200,000 or dollars for that, $200,000.
Okay, yeah.
So I thought, seeing as I'm such a good presenter on here, you buy it for me.
Yeah, because this podcast is just like dripping in money, it doesn't
Oh, it
cost
is. It
any.
is.
Mm.
No. Yeah,
Buy our
welcome back.
books, folks. Help us out.
This was one of the better ones from recent reviews. I thought it actually had a backstory to it.
Yeah,
um,
bit of character play as well. It was mainly
yeah,
about Preston's character and
yeah.
arrogance and
Well,
hubris.
in real life, the actor who plays him is actually a decorated soldier from World War II. He was awarded the Military Cross. And he comes across as that, doesn't he, in the parts he plays?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You don't get that lightly.
He was arrogant, wasn't he?
Yeah, but he's playing in the, he's playing in their role. He's almost like a parody role in this.
Yeah.
Michael Ripper plays a really good part in this as Long Barrel.
Yeah, but did you see this? This brought out his versatility, because in all other parts he plays like something like a barman, doesn't he? And
Or an odd job man or something
an
like
odd job
that.
man. This one, he was like the PA, wasn't he? To this, but he was a
press
sort of yes
secretary.
man. he tried to please too much, but he played the part so well. I do like Michael Ripper, a very underrated actor, in all the films that he does. And I was reading up on him when I saw him in this one. I was reading up that he because he appeared in quite a lot of films with Christopher Lee or Peter Cushing. He was actually very good friends with them, and when he died in 1985, and Christopher Lee described him as a very professional actor who always gave it all, So it makes you think: did he come from the same school of acting as the workers like Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing, and did he come from that sort of area of acting? But I do like Michael Ripper.
Yeah, I would say he has that sort of ethos about them. At the end of the day, it's I think if you're around certain people, you sort of pick up the vibe. If you've got a work ethic, you sort of want to be around people with the same work ethic, don't you?
Yeah, that's right. And he always had work. If you look at his filmography, he was always in something. But he was it Christopher Lee called him a character actor. He always played different characters in different.
But they're the best actors that do that. You don't see the actor, you see the character they're playing.
Yeah.
What do you call them? Tom Hardy, Gary Oldman, were are classic examples of that. No, today, Peter Cushing more so than Christopher Lee, I would say, is a character actor.
Yeah.
Peter Cushing molds and sort of morphs into his characters that he plays. Christopher Lee's a bit more star, as in you go to see a Christopher Lee movie for Christopher Lee.
Yeah.
It's very rarely that he step out. He's enjoyable to watch, but very rarely does he step outside his range.
No, he always seemed to get the villain parts as well, didn't he, Christopher Lee?
There's Leon. How are you, man? Welcome aboard.
FI3. Or was it FL3?
FL3. Flea. It's abbreviated Flea.
Flea. Lovely. Yeah, and Michael Ripper, he just, he played a good guy. He played a bumbling idiot like in this one. Barman, he was in the Phantom of the Opera, wasn't he? He was the rat catcher.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, I think he was a very underrated actor. No one would come across and say, oh, like we do, there's Michael Rippers in this film. It's just very underrated, and I think it was a shame that he was so underrated.
But that's if you think about the times as well, like we're doing this as a sort of a marathon.
Yeah,
We're seeing patterns, and like I know I'm like, oh, Michael Ripper's in this one, cool. Be interested to see what character he is. But that's because we're watching them in succession. If you think about when these movies come out, that was not a thing. Like VHS wasn't even a thing. Like you saw the movie in the cinema or you didn't.
Yeah,
That was
right.
it. And it
Yeah,
was only like decades later that they started to appear on TV. But even then, that was like a Saturday night, and really you weren't, unless you were purely dedicated to being there every Saturday night, you were watching this like the succession we are.
cinemas weren't that cheap either back then compared to
You couldn't say to today.
how much money people were earning, So
Well, flip sake, they're actually worse today. You need to make.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. I know, but
the golden age of when we grew up, cinema's gone.
Compared to how much people were earning in the 60s and having to pay something like a cinema fee for you in the, unless you went Dutch, for you in the other half, it's it's I think it's nearly always been that little bit expensive compared to wages, but now, God,
yeah, it's
you heard.
You need to be in good wages to be to go to the cinema.
You heard someone broke into the Odeon cinema in Bridgend, didn't you? Yeah, they stole £10,000 worth of stock. Yeah, it was 1 cup of cola and a bag of Haribo.
And it begins. Oh, it's ridiculous now going to the cinema.
And they won't let you take in, your own stuff. The one down Plymouth.
Well, that's always been a rule. But you always.
Yeah, the one down Plymouth started requesting to search people, and it actually goes if they actually search you and they touch any of your clothing, it actually amounts to trespass. Believe it or not, it's like if you go into a shop. And on your way out, they say, "Can we search your bags?" And you say no, and they go ahead and search it without your permission. That amounts to trespass, and they're breaking the law. The only people who are allowed to search them are the police. But it's the same in if you've got a bottle of Coke in your pocket and they request to see inside your pocket, you can say no, and if they continue to search you, that's an act of trespass.
The problem is,
people, you've heard something today.
But the problem is that the scumbags use all that.
Yeah.
The habitual thieves, they use every trick in the book, and just God, I was going to share some photographs with you on the private chat. Their flipping shop got wrecked on Sunday.
Oh.
Scumbags yesterday.
Yeah.
And I got over the company WhatsApp showing all the pictures, and it's like things are just wrecked because that's the problem. When the law goes in favor of the criminal, it just escalates. And yeah, it might seem like a good idea. Yeah, you can't do this because you don't want an overzealous security guard jumping on you, and because that was a case for a while, if you remember, like they got these like lunatics got a high-risk test on, thought they ruled the world. Yeah. But at the same time, people are shit now.
Yeah.
I don't know what the answer is. Like, I've no idea what the answer is because everything always goes to the extreme.
Yeah.
So you got the scumbags now, they're going to the extreme. If you clamp down on them, that'll go to the extreme, and then we're always in this perpetual cycle. It never gets better.
Yeah.
Back in the day when you went to the pictures, on the bus, have a slap up chip supper, and still have enough for the bus home. Yeah, God, you couldn't even.
Yeah,
You used to
you
be able
were.
to do that in like 20 quid.
Yeah.
No, it's not even. What is it now? Flipping 16 quid a ticket.
Well, it's like I said when we were in London, Odeon, Leicester Square, and I went up and I was seeing the new Star Wars film. When they started the second part of the trilogy, and I went, one for Star Wars Episode 1. And he said something like 16 quid. I says, no, I'm not paying for this pair as well. You know, in Merthyr Tydfil cinema, we pay 3 quid each. 16 quid.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And the thing is, even with my local cinema, I know you want you to pay them, get them cards, the monthly ones, but there's not enough on for me to want to go out. Like
No.
most of the movies coming in there are absolutely tosh, and I wouldn't want to watch them, even if I was not paying. I just wouldn't bother. No, it's part of the fee. So for maybe what, if I'm lucky, one movie a month, maybe one movie every 2 months, that I actually want to bother. It's not even worth doing that.
I haven't been cinema for ages. We tend to, watch things when they finally come out, and on,
The last one was Bloodlines, Final Destination, but that's for the channel. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
I don't do it. If I'm
yeah,
not
we watched.
if I'm not going to review something for the channel, and try and be in the thing, I'm not going to bother. I can
No.
wait.
Yeah, we watched that one. It was all right.
Better than a lot of the previous ones.
Oh, it was because the previous ones just got silly.
Yeah.
But yeah, and yeah, but yeah, this one, Mummy Shroud, I've like I said, it just had a backstory, and they introduced it with the backstory, and there was none of this silly, overpowering music. The music sort of related to the actual scenes. Whether that was because of 20th Century Fox, you don't know, do you?
Well, I've started to take a look at these films, and I think the tone of it is dictated by the production partner.
Yeah.
So it might be a Hammer film, but it really depends who. If it's Universal, we're getting the classic Gothic look, aren't we? So anytime we're getting like the Hammer that people know and recognize, it's usually when they're part of Universal. When they're the weird quirky ones or that PHP or whatever company, that's all the weird quirky ones that they quite put in. 20th Century Fox, I'm not too sure what they seem to be sort of colors or the other ones. I'm just trying to sort of see that there's so many total changes between the movies. That's the only sort of factors what the movie was talking about for the
You're breaking up a bit. You're going in and out with your.
I can hear me fine.
Yeah, right.
I know what it sounds like. No, just saying. It just depends on what the.
That's better.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Will I move closer to the mic? Does that help?
Yeah.
Shimmy up a bit.
You started to sound like that comedian from the old Shunter's Social Club where he goes, "Hey, wait, like your vote, something, have it up."
I don't need to enter that trouble tonight. I've had nothing but trouble with over the last couple of weeks. I finally got it, I think, sorted out.
Yeah.
Who knows? The gods are fickle. The internet gods are fickle.
That's a lot better.
Right.
Yeah.
No, just saying, it depends on what the studio is they've paired up with. Depends on the tone of the movie.
Yeah. We've found like some production companies, you get this silly music. The opening to that Asylum was just silly, wasn't it? And but this music was pretty good. So yeah,
They're not getting any better at the fight scenes, though.
Chris Andrews said audio was jarbled a minute ago.
All right, I could hear me, so that's what it's important.
Yeah.
I know what
Yeah,
I'm
shut
saying.
up, Chris.
Yeah.
He can hear him.
You're a very demanding audience, eh? You're a very demanding, wanting clear audio and
I'm
to be able to
terrible.
hear me. Like, what do you want here?
Yeah. Now,
I'm not hearing a weird buzzing in my ear, which is like, I don't know if it's these earphones or not. Yeah, the fight scenes haven't got any better.
but you got to imagine it was the 60s and they weren't allowed to sort of knock each other about, were they?
No, just didn't fight choreograph whatsoever. But
They would
I
have.
have,
They would
I have
have
to
had
say,
They would
when
have
the
had Mary
full
Whitehouse bloody complaining, wouldn't they?
hmm?
Yeah. They would have had Mary Whitehouse complaining. You know, do you remember Mary Whitehouse?
Oh yeah.
She used to complain about everything, didn't she? But
But that
I used
was
to. I said, how can anyone whose name relates to a toilet complain about films? You know, the White House.
yeah, but that's people like that. Just that's their whole reason for
Yeah,
being. You see them
yeah.
today as well. They'll always be around. They're a stain in society. They'll never
Oh, yeah. But
never go away.
yeah.
But like I said, during the scene of the rebellion and the younger brother taking control from the pharaoh, kicking in doors like stone doors with sandals is epic.
Yeah. Did you see when when they were removing the big rock to get into the tomb of this?
Oh, the polystyrene in the corner.
Yeah, and not only that, one guy was pulling it out, and then suddenly, when he finally sort of got to the edge, the other four come over to help him and made it look as though it was really heavy. But before, he was just like this with it, pulling it out.
Which would be the harder bit.
The polystyrene in the corner, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. But,
That did make me giggle.
Yeah, but it's
That's really the only complaints I have about this are the effects.
yeah.
And they're not. It's just if they got the effects nailed down, this would be an epic, movie.
Yeah.
Visually. What I don't understand is what's this about the third Mummy movie in the Hammer franchise we've seen now?
Yeah.
Third or fourth?
Must be. Yeah.
And they got it nailed with Christopher Lee's Mummy, the first one.
Yeah.
Like the costume, the
Yeah,
wrappings.
and he was actually scary as the mummy, wasn't he?
Yes. And for some reason, they never went back to that again. And I don't see where the expense is. If that makes sense.
It's like the mummy outfit, wasn't it? In this one, it was like in one scene, I don't know whether it was Velcro or a zip, but you could actually see how it was done up.
Yeah, from the back, yeah,
flicking out of the back.
I just like, oh my god, this is terrible.
And the mask was like outside the actual suit.
Bad, but that's what I mean. With Christopher Lee's one, the first one, it was amazing, and it wasn't
bandages.
It was just bandages, and the way they did it up with it, I don't see it being expensive.
No,
the way they did his costume. So I don't know why they're getting it so long.
I would imagine it was more expensive to do the costumes that they used in this one than it was to do the bandages. But
like the full plaster mask and everything else, that would have been more. I don't understand.
Yeah.
This is the problem with this era. We can't go back because I think the home rental market really made us aware of how films happened.
Yeah.
And especially with the videos or DVDs more than anything else. You
it
got
was
the special features.
The pause thing, wasn't it? You pause and rewind when you see a mistake. That's what I used to do all the time. You know, an hour and a half film used to take me 2 hours to watch because I'd go, hold on, pause, rewind. Bloody hell, And,
yeah, but you're just a typical auditor.
Yeah, I know.
You're always looking for mistakes.
Yeah. Did you see the mummy when it was in the coffin, the mummy's coffin? He was breathing, and his arms were moving.
Oh, it was, like I said, that's the only bit that's taken me out of this movie. And I don't think it would have been hard to fix. No. And the fact is that earlier movie, like nearly 10 years previous with Like I said, the original Mummy with Christopher Lee, that was done so well. I don't understand why they just hadn't got the same time, or it's making me question how these movies come to be and how much of it is actually Hammer. Because it seems to be when they get in bed with the studio, their whole tone and everything changes. So what part... Do you understand my question here? Is how much of the movies do they actually make?
Is
How much of them actually theirs?
Is there a like bloke shouting in the ear of the director or whatever, going, "No, you can't do that. Yes, you can do that. Do this, do that."
They're dictating the makeup team or the artists, or
Yeah.
You would think as a production company, and you see it's quite it is a troupe, especially when they've got the same actors. Especially in the 50s, you see Hammer in the 50s, and it's the same people. You see the consistency and tone. Once we get to the 60s now, it's all over the place. Every movie's different in a way. And that's where I'm thinking about the distribution companies. Is that the pattern? Is it whoever they tie up with, that they flounder early on and have to rely on venture capital from other places or distribution, and then therefore they were dictated to?
Well,
Something's went wrong.
They would have been listed as executive producers, wouldn't they, or producers, and it would have been the influence that the producers requested to have if they, funded the film. I know, completely non-horror. There was a film by a director called Nick Love, who used to produce a lot of the 2000s Danny Dyer films, and he actually done one of the interviews on the DVD, and he was saying how he wanted to direct it one way, but the producers who funded the film said no, they wouldn't say that. They'd say this. They wouldn't say that. And they said, and we're dictating the film how he didn't really want it. But it makes you wonder whether that. I mean, it probably happens today. Did it happen in the 60s, where Universal Studios and 20th Century Fox having more involvement on things like the direction and the open production of it, than just putting their name to it?
Well, it's more apparent today, and plus we can talk about it as it's happening.
Yeah,
it's a completely different landscape. I think Sony and Marvel are a good example of that.
Yeah.
Blumhouse and Atomic Monster, if you want to stay within horror, you kind of see the sort of tonal, although they're very, very similar, so it's a bit more of a tricky. It seems to be they're more streamlined, I think, because James Wan works for Blumhouse as well as has his own company, so works. I'm trying to think of another.
Chris has just said he rarely notices mistakes in movies like I do. His wife usually has to point them out to him. She keeps harping on about one major mistake she sees in our wedding video. Chris, my advice to you is watch your wedding video in reverse, because you come out a free man then.
That's the first place. That's the
Oh, you broke up again, Carl.
Again?
Yeah.
Oh, for frick's...
It's every time you lean backwards.
I shouldn't be doing that. Oh, stupid thing.
You have to stand on your head and...
Yeah, just be right here and talk into the mic like this. Is that better? I'll just stay like this the entire stream.
Yeah.
Horrible. I'm all covered in fur now. The first wife, she's the one that introduced me to the idea of sneaking food into cinemas. I didn't know it was a thing.
Yeah, it's been terrible. And, I always say, if they made their food cheaper, they'd sell a lot more anyway. But
it's their concessions that makes up for the tickets. That's how the cinemas make money.
Why would you pay $2.99 for a bag of Haribo that you can get for £1 in Poundland?
Yeah. Nah, I just don't. I don't bother even now. I'd get a cup of coffee, maybe, and that's it.
Yeah.
I used to gorge out. I used to get the hot dogs. I was of the. I have a thing about having hot dogs in the cinema. The roll ups.
At my age, you daren't have a cup of Coke when you go into the cinema because
That's
you
it.
miss half the film. Oh,
No, that's where it's like a big. You know, you get the bucket deals, or but I never really bothered with the popcorn and stuff. Like I said, my thing was always a hot dog, but
yeah.
I don't even bother now. I'm trying not to. I just can't justify the expense.
No, I used to like the pick and mix, but £2.50 for one cola bottle is beyond me.
No, I don't even have when I used to drink and have a beer in the cinema, God,
It's
they act as if you're the worst. Honestly, behind them, it's like you're having a beer. Well, you're
yeah.
selling it. Okay,
There's
and it's very
here's,
strange.
here's my view of pick and mix.
Get out. He's back, folks. He's been saving us up for a month.
Yeah. Yeah, but this film was one of the better ones, wasn't it? Of recent, of their recent sort of offerings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
He gets bit by a snake, but that snake was a non-poisonous snake, so I couldn't understand. It was I did look up the name of it, or what I thought it
it's like a
was.
garter snake or something.
Yeah. Oh, I did look at earlier, but it's a non-poisonous one anyway, according to the picture.
Well, sure.
They do bite,
Yeah.
but they bite to protect themselves. But their fangs are so small that they don't pierce skin. So
Probably rear fanged or something for
yeah,
harm, but
yeah, he got bit by it. That bloke, he shot him 3 times with a gun. The fourth, chances are the snake would have buggered off by the time he shot him, wouldn't he?
yeah,
And oh god, that was so funny.
it was a ridiculous. There's parts of this is just ridiculous, like the whole thing with the snake and that, and
Did you see? He was 1 minute he was all right. Next minute he was there sweating buckets, going, "Oh, just got bit by a snake." And then what's his name turns up? Doesn't he? Preston. And he goes, "What's wrong with you, man? I hear you've been bit by a snake. Where's the mummy to?" I don't care that you've been bit by a snake.
But we had to set up for his character. That's the thing. So we had the whole intro. That was good, and the fact that Prince. God, I need to highlight these names. I'm terrible with them.
What was his name?
Karobe.
Yeah.
Was rescued because basically the Pharaoh's younger brother decided to stage a coup, so they leave. But I just love the way that instead of bringing provisions, they bring up a huge tent.
Yeah.
It takes most of them to carry, and then they wonder why they're like a few jugs of water would have been more.
No food.
No food, just big tent.
Yeah. We're not going to need food, and chances are we're going to find an ocean in the middle of the desert, and
Yum.
plenty of fish.
That's.
But
yeah. That's 1960. That's 1960s movie storytelling. Like the really. When did we start to expect more in-depth storytelling?
I think it started coming in the early 70s, really, didn't it? If you take The Wicker Man, I had to watch The Wicker Man several times back. I watched it when it first came out. I remember being on one night, and when I watched it the first time, and I thought, "What's it all about?" I didn't understand paganism when I was younger, very young, and then gradually I watched it. Oh, The Wicker Man, let's watch that again. And then the thought of him being burned in the wicker, and then I watched it again. I thought it's so intelligent. It's it picks up on all the sort of a bit like the book The Mist on the Mountain that I wrote, not plugging it, of course. The sequel, The Fire on the Mountain's out in December.
Gotta get the info.
Where it picks up on the what happens in the village stays in the village, but it does it big time in The Wicker Man, and it's very intelligent. And I think around that time was when film scripts started edging away from the slapstick sort of thing.
Almost radio play. Like at this point, I think at this stage we're leaving radio play or stage play.
Yeah.
You know, the era, we're moving into actually movies. We can see that transition now. But the scripts are still very simplified in the storytelling because it's still got that mentality of this has got to go on a stage. And yeah.
If you think From Beyond the Grave, do you remember that one?
Yeah, the Amicus one.
That went away from the sort of Hammer sort of, horror of the 60s, and it started becoming intelligent horror because each story was started to become actually scary as opposed to, I'm trying to think of the word. The 60s Hammers were scary to a 60s audience
because everything was sanitized. The 50s and right up until the late 60s, it was that period of like beigeness, like we're going through now. Just everything's sanitized. Nobody can be offended by anything, and it's only until I think 1967 or something. It was starting to that cycle was starting to break.
Yeah. I mean,
so maybe it was easier because everything was so nothing challenged the audience, so it was easier to get it right.
In the 70s, the 60s horror was scary for the children of the 60s who were watching it in the 70s. Hammer horror films on the Saturday night, a double or triple bill, depending on what they show, were scary stuff for me. And I mean, these days, if your parents had let you stay up to watch a horror film at the age of 12, they'd be in front of social services and all things like that. But my parents used to let me watch them. I used to stay up. Usually by the sort of middle of the second one, I'd be fast asleep, snoring away, and my mum would come down, pick me up, and shove me off to bed. But but I think they started to become intelligent horror, if that's a good way to describe it.
No, just more emphasis on the storytelling.
And they started to delve deeper into things like the use of possible better special effects. If you take in From Beyond the Grave, when the Man in the Mirror and David Warner, wasn't it? The blood that was coming out when he stabbed them, even down as far as stabbing. If you take Hitchcock's Psycho in 1960, the stabbing was done blindly, and he actually used chocolate sauce, didn't he, as the blood? It was black and white, but you didn't actually see the stabbing.
No, could you do anything? Everything's progression, isn't it? Everything's building ways to better make the movie.
72 From Beyond the Grave, it was pretty bloodthirsty, really, and I think it was intelligent horror. What were both of your favorite horrors that you saw before the age of 12 or so? It would have been
Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein. I know it's more comedy horror, but I don't know, that one really stuck with me as a kid.
Boris Karloff's Frankenstein really scared me.
God, what was
you know why?
Prince of Darkness, but I can't remember what age I was when that came out.
Frankenstein's monster could never have sex because his nuts were in his neck.
Oh, here we go.
Boom, boom.
As a kid.
Oh, you're breaking up again.
I said Prince of Darkness. John Carpenter's Prince of Darkness.
Closer.
John Carpenter's Prince of Darkness.
No, you still. There you are. You're all right now. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, this is going to be a hard stream. I don't know what the hell's going on. Everything's.
You need to get one of those Madonna mics that come down there.
Test microphone. No, it's all coming up. I don't know. It must be a connection thing.
Frankenstein, Boris Karloff's Frankenstein, was probably my favorite. And then going past that, I suppose Christopher Lee's Dracula, in from the first one, because it was new to the situation of a 12-year-old.
Salem's Lot got me as well as a kid.
Yeah.
I think it was this bedroom scene with the kid.
Yeah.
And his brother comes back, as a vampire. I think that scene.
Yeah.
That's one that stuck in my head.
Yeah.
The first opening scene of V, when Donovan discovers the lizards, what they were, that made me jump.
V-shaped tongue and things like that.
Yeah, and he's.
Yeah,
that got me as a kid, and then my mum wouldn't let me watch the next one. I'm like, I want to watch these. I just jumped, and then that was it. I was into them.
Hitchcock's Psycho has always been one of my favorite films.
I never find them frightening though.
I think when you first see it, you do, and the thought of someone actually being like that, and recently, when I read books, there's a guy called Paul Britton who's Robbie Coltrane's Cracker was based on Paul Britton, a very clever criminal psychologist, and he wrote 2 books, and the books scared me. They're true, real life, and it actually makes you see that people like Anthony Perkins Psycho. I always get them mixed up. Anthony Perkins are out there. They are out there, and I think when you see things like that later in life, you think, oh my God, it is scary. Yeah.
These like some of these Hammer ones. Looking back, I remember at the time, you're like Dracula and all, and you're like, oh, and Frankenstein. When you sort of look back at them now, it's you can see how basic they are, but they're movies of their time, so you kind of have to have a better forgiveness. But
you have to put yourself back in the year that it was made. I think of it. I think of the music that was in the pop charts back in the same year, and I think how first step it was. You had all the singers with the little guitars going like this, and then you think, well, the films were in the same way. You have to put yourself in like Dracula 1958 when special effects were very limited, and they were trying to scare the pants off you back in 1958, and they would have succeeded with the people who were in 1958 because it wasn't actually seen anywhere else. Dracula was probably in 1958 was probably one of very few films that were horror films, whereas these days they knock them out 25 a day, and only sort of one gets into the cinema, and the rest go on Amazon Prime.
Honestly, doing that platform, I just looked at it and no, not doing it. There's a watch this would never get through in a million years.
You're breaking up again.
I'll take it. I don't know.
Come forward a bit.
That's it.
No, you're still breaking up.
Yeah, it's not
Ah,
the.
that's it.
Yeah, but it's a connection thing
Yeah,
because I'm hearing myself
strange.
buzzing, but I don't know what to do. It's stuck.
Yeah,
Ah,
weird. Yeah, and if you think of this as 1967, like we said, they were just starting to bring in special effects to a better standard. If you take Ray Harryhausen, he was one of the pioneers of what do they call it, stop motion, wasn't it?
mhm.
And when he'd film like the dinosaurs, he'd film movement, and then he'd move the thing about 1 centimeter, film another one, and 1 centimeter, and it used to take him weeks to film a scene where the dinosaur moved about 4 feet. But it was special effects, and he was good at it. And the thing was, they were coming up with new ideas, and some were good, some were bad. We saw at the end of this film how badly the disintegration of the mummy was.
Oh
Um,
god.
it was like they got a bucket full of sand from a sandcastle and just went like that with it. But yeah,
Yeah.
if you look at it another way, you think of if in 1958 right up until 1969 they had the quality of the special effects from something, say, like An American Werewolf in London, right? The whole era of that American Werewolf in London would have been put backwards, but in 1958 more people would have complained.
Yeah, it would have
More,
been too realistic.
Mary Whitehouse is one, because it would have been too realistic. It's like it's like
Well, that's what happened with the video nasties.
yeah, yeah,
When Giallo started becoming a thing, Argento and so forth, that
yeah,
they got banned because, and yes, we can laugh at the time, but he was taking it to the next level, and people freaked out.
yeah.
Texas
Demons,
Chainsaw
wasn't it?
Massacre just broke people.
Yeah, and the
1974 was that?
Evil Dead, the Evil
Yeah,
Dead, even I Spit on Your Grave.
yeah. There's another one. Yeah.
And people were actually sneaking them into the country because um, when I was 14, 15, I used to babysit for my sister's next door neighbour. And the guy, he actually worked at RNAS Codrose in Cornwall. And his American counterparts used to sneak in all the banned videos, and he used to bring them home. And he used to say to me, "Yeah, you can watch this one tonight." So I saw Evil Dead, I Spit on Your Grave, all the horror films about demons, and
Oh god,
yeah,
that
I
was
used to see them all.
the
But
dubbing in that is ridiculous. Italian and English just don't match.
no, no,
Like they're just two languages that you just can't dub over.
yeah. Hello, Del, my darling.
Oh, there's Dylan as well. God, we're getting a full
She
house
she let
tonight.
me down, She let me down.
What?
I was there thinking that she was saving herself for me, and then she told me she's got an husband,
Disgraceful.
and she won't ditch him. She won't dump him, not at all. So that's the story of my life. That is.
Ah, shocking. I just
I
wait
don't want you, Dale. I want your husband.
wait for Cole to come in and slap you one. Stop being creepy, Steve. You've already scared a kid off this channel.
Yeah. I'm an egg now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You're about the right shape.
Yeah, my head is like.
This is Lilliput and fuck, what was the other one called? Gulliver's Travels. The fought over the way an egg gets cracked.
Oh, I never saw Gulliver's Travels.
You never read them, Jonathan Smith?
No.
I can never remember the name of the other country. So do you remember that was why they went to war? Because one took the egg off, the cracked a boiled egg off the top, and the other smashed it. That's why they went to war.
No, I didn't see it.
All right, okay.
Jack Black was in the remake, wasn't he?
Let's not talk about that. What do you call him? Hansen. Um, oh God, he did a full series on all of Gulliver's Travels because Lilliput was just his first adventure. Because then he went about 4 lands in the book.
Hmm.
Oh my God, I haven't read that in years. I'm sounding really stupid now. Jeff,
Yeah.
was it Jeff? It was Hansen, Ted Danson, Ted Danson.
Ted Danson, yeah.
Yeah, he did it. He was really good.
Oh, right.
He did the series where he just went, all of Gulliver's Travels, and then him coming back and trying to explain and almost getting committed.
Yeah. No, I've never seen it.
Oh, you should look up. Don't look up that. Don't bother with Jack Black. He's an idiot. But yeah, look up the Ted Danson one. Gulliver's
He
Travels.
destroys anything he plays, doesn't he? He destroyed King Kong.
I thought that was his best performance.
Yeah. And
Like,
he
I'm not talking about a high bar here, but Peter Jackson has a way of getting the best out of people. Like, look at all the mediocre actors he had, and he got the best performance out of them.
Yeah.
Like, look at them Muppets. That played
Shallow Hal with Jack Black, and he just played the same characterization in that. His stupid facial expression, and I thought it was crap.
I don't like him.
No, well, as a person, he's probably a nice guy, but as an actor, I don't rate him. But yeah, because he's a good musician, isn't he, Jack Black?
But then again, even his Tenacious D stuff is very repetitive.
I believe Fuscu was the other country in Gulliver's Travels. Right.
Bifuscu, right. So I was just going to say we're like Bifuscu and Lilliput because we're arguing over which egg shape's the best. Oh no, it wasn't. It was from the top. You put the pointy end down in the egg cup. That was what, or the round end, and that's why they went to war. Which is not the worst reason to go to war when you think of some of the crap reasons people have went to war over. So,
we've diversified again.
We've went on a tangent, an official tangent of the stream, but then that's why we do this, because sometimes it's about the movie. But this is a pretty straightforward plot. It's in breaking the mummy's tomb, you get cursed, and everything ensues. What made this interesting were like all the character pieces. Claire was an interesting character, like to bring along a psychic.
Yeah. That psychic, the one who looked into the crystal ball.
Oh yes, the mother.
She looked into the crystal ball and saw things.
Now,
you would have thought that she was the psychic person who could see into crystal balls, but then the guy comes in, doesn't he? The
Hasmond,
sort of guard bloke, and he sees the same image in the crystal ball. So is he a clairvoyant as well?
No, but she opened it up. She showed it to Claire as well.
Yeah, she had a business card.
They were impressive.
Your local clairvoyant.
That's like something to be printed in the 80s. Like, they were top quality.
Yeah.
Like, if she was in the scene in American Psycho and she put that down on the rest of the executives, she'd have been topped off next.
Yeah.
For being too good.
But this was set in 1920, wasn't it?
I loved Hasmond's character. The fact that he's waiting in the tomb for them to arrive. He then challenges them and then just walks off.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell you, but it's not back there.
It was overacting. It was overacting, wasn't it? I'm going to kill you. Oh, all right then. Bye.
Yeah. No, I'm not going to tell you. They walk 2 feet and they're right in the tomb. It's like little bits like that are. That's very radio play style. That's very stage play sort of production.
There was the ad-libbing curse, wasn't it? And you didn't understand a word of it. It wasn't even Egyptian. And even at the end, when the girl shouts, "Say the dead curse," wasn't it? Say the. And he just rabbited on something, and you thought, yeah, that's ad-libbed, if ever it was.
Yeah.
Chris, we said that about 10 minutes ago. That's old news, mate.
Yeah. Keep up.
Yeah.
Get better. Direct connection.
I've grown another hair since then. Next year,
We
be
beat you
saying,
to it.
yeah. Next year, be saying, yeah, you know, they've made Star Wars Episode 1 in 1997.
Why do we have to sully the channel with the ass talk?
You are, Chris. You're way behind.
Yeah.
I agree, Flea. She was absolutely fantastically weird. Tangina from Poltergeist. She was the best medium clairvoyant person you could ever. She was believable as well,
Yeah.
because she was a little short woman, wasn't she? And the sort of person you'd expect to have psychic powers. But this one in the Mummy's Shroud, she just didn't hit it as a psychic clairvoyant medium person, did she?
But the fact that this is the son and mother team of this, I don't know, cult or cult of protectors that knew where this tomb was and had been guarding it. Not a very professional outfit.
She was a barrel of laughs as well, wasn't she? The psychic woman, clairvoyant woman. Oh, you're gonna death! I see death. You're gonna die. You're gonna die. Oh, brilliant! I thought, yeah, barrel of laughs, woman.
Yeah. But there's a bit as well. Claire goes to visit her, who has abilities of her own, and she goes to negotiate. You know, how do I say sorry for my transgression? How do I get out of this? And the mother tells her, go and apologize. Okay. But Hasmid takes offense at that. You'd think as a, you know, her being the wise woman and stuff, that he would take her lead or there would be an agreement. But he goes to busy get her knocked off anyway. And you're like, I'm not seeing what's going on here. If she had been a separate character and not connected to Hasmid, I would get it. But the fact that it's mother and son and they're part of the same cult or what, I didn't understand that.
We've got a bit of a love triangle here because Flea wants to have sex with Tangina out of Poltergeist.
Here, whatever floats your boat, mate.
Yeah.
No, she had two. Heidi had two.
Did you see the lamp? It's supposed to be in 1920, I think it was this saying. And they had a outdoor lamp with one of those screw-in light bulbs in.
Yeah, and
it was a bright light bulb, a bright 100-watt light bulb in it.
And Egypt of all places doesn't even have outside lamps.
It doesn't even in 1920 never even had electricity, did they? But it's cracking.
We'll have to talk about Mrs. Preston.
Yeah.
She is cold. She despises her husband.
Yeah, I know. She shows it as well.
Like, no if buts or maybe. She hates his guts.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, she didn't even want to go home with him, did she, when he was trying to get away?
Yeah, I'd rather take my chances with the mummy. Thank you very much. I didn't win.
I'd rather make love with the mummy than make love with you.
But we got a hint when she undermines him in one of his meetings. Yeah. But later on, like, she utterly hates his guts. Like, there's no love between those two whatsoever.
No, not at all. And you got a question in the first place. Why was she actually there? If she hated him that much, you know, this day and age, he would have said, "Oh, I'm going on a dig to dig up this mummy's body. Do you want to come?" And she would have probably gone, "No, I'll stay at home and watch."
Is this not a societal thing? He wasn't actually going on the dig himself. He was going for the press tour and all that.
He was, yeah. He was going to let other people dig, wasn't he? And then just turn up at the when they found something.
It was expected, wasn't it, to be together, the power couple, or the
Yeah.
united family, all that kind of stuff. It was because their son was missing. That's why.
Oh yeah.
That
Yeah.
was the whole premise, that the son was missing.
Yeah.
They were launching search teams, and then of course they came across.
Yeah. And I'm just gonna grab a drink.
Yeah. The bit that gets me to this is, I don't understand how Sir Basil was such a threat to Preston. Because at the
I
end of
think
the day,
he
the donkey worked for
done all the work, didn't he?
but he was
He'd done
happy
all the work,
for.
and Preston got all the bloody credit for it. And he stuck him in an asylum.
Yeah.
Just how did that work? And how many asylums do you know in Egypt? I mean, most of the people of Egypt need to be in an asylum.
Yeah.
I've just upset the Egyptians, am I?
No. The fact is that Sir Basil was no threat whatsoever to Preston, but this is more of a character study on Preston. That's what makes this movie interesting, more about him. The mummy just happens to be a plot device, but it's just showing what happens when you're around circles with a complete narcissist. You know what I mean? You have to be like Longbarrow. You have to be completely supplicant. You have to be a complete sycophant. That's the only way you're tolerated.
Yeah. I mean, even down as far, wasn't it? He says, "Are you taking me with you?" Long Barrow said, "Oh yeah, you better book another ticket then." And then when the police officer come in and said, "No, you're not going. You'll be under arrest." Like, he says, "Long Barrow, just get one ticket." "Oh, you're not taking me with you?" "No, bugger off." And it's just like all for himself all the time. He wanted all the credit for the dig, all the credit for the find. And anyone else could go do one. So, yeah.
The scene where he's at the tomb itself and he's sitting getting Longbarrow to write his memoirs as he's sitting there in a deck chair. I mean, while everyone else is stripped down to their waist.
Yeah.
Getting mucked in. I like that scene actually because you just saw like everyone was involved. It wasn't the only snobby person was Preston. Everyone else that was there for the reasons of discovery got rolled up their shirts and got stuck in their shirt sleeves, and just like the hired help and the archaeologists were just they're both all lifting the stones together, and I thought it was a good scene.
Yeah.
But, and we didn't get preached to. We didn't get told any messages. We're just shown this is what happens.
Of course, Basil was played by another regular in the Hammer films, Andre Morel.
Mm-hmm.
He's been in.
He was in Jekyll, wasn't he? The Two Faces of Dr. Jekyll.
Yeah. And he was in another one, wasn't he? That we've reviewed.
About 2 or 3. We've seen him a couple of times now.
Yeah. So I don't recognise any of the others apart from our favourite Michael Ripper. But yeah, one thing I did think was funny was right at the beginning of the film, both parents of the young what was he called? The kid who
Catabe.
That's someone. Both parents were as white as a sheet, and he was like Egyptian color, wasn't he?
I think I was just I was just who could get the time. I don't think any of this was actually filmed in Egypt.
No, it wasn't.
I think this is all done on the stage in Pinewood.
It was filmed in Bray Studios up in Pinewood.
Yeah.
Pinewood
so you know what I mean? That's
and a quarry. I think I read it was a quarry somewhere, and it was a quarry that they used in many films. They said if you look close enough, you'll see this quarry in quite a lot of films because they use the same quarry. So
yeah, because they're not going to go on location. That would cost an absolute bloody fortune.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Even 160 grand, even in 1960s money, still not horrendous for a full-on production.
Well, yeah.
Because these would have been events as well. It's not like they were just once again, there was no home to rental market. These were made for Saturday matinees, or people to go and see and
Yeah,
get buzz and excitement about. So they weren't messing about.
yeah, yeah. The going through that, it's the psychic woman. She was just loopy
Yep.
and laughing at you're gonna die, death, death, death. I see death. I thought, oh God, sounds a bit like my ex-mother-in-law. That was funny. The first time I ever met her, I was just about to sit down on the sofa after saying hello, and she went, ah! And I jumped up quick, thinking I was going to sit on the cat or something, and she went, jeans. And she didn't explain herself. Fucking jeans? Yeah, they are jeans. Yeah, yeah, jeans. She goes, are they new? Still didn't explain herself. What was? I goes, no, I've had them a while. I thought, yeah, it's good. When you're 18 and someone says this to you, you think, oh my God, she's loopy. And she went, that's okay then. And she didn't explain herself. And
The
then
guy running off onto the sofa.
that's what it was.
Yeah.
Afterwards, my ex-wife at the time, she was my girlfriend at the time, says, oh, it's because she thought the guy from Eugene's were going to go on the sofa. I says, why didn't you just say that instead of scaring the living daylights out of me? I says, I thought she was loopy. But yeah, this clairvoyant person was just as loopy.
Yep. I don't see what our character brought to it, though.
I don't see the point of it. Why didn't they just use the girl who was seeing things? What was she called?
Claire.
Yeah. Why didn't they just write the script so she was actually seeing death, and so she actually saw them all dying?
Yeah, it
Could have
seemed a
been
bit
a
of
way
a
in. That's how I would have wrote it.
yeah,
Anyway.
it was a bit of a strange choice. But we've noticed this with a lot of these productions. There's far too many cast.
Yeah.
They always overburden with the cast members, and
Mm.
they overcomplicate the story because they've got to give everybody a bit, and then you've all these like bit parts which really aren't necessary.
Yeah. They overcrowd the story.
Mm.
Yeah.
To me, that's one thing. Doing a wee bit of writing myself, that's a sign of confidence, isn't it? If
Yeah.
you feel like you have to put more and more in, you're not confident with the story.
No.
That's one thing I've found, and then I've learned to strip back and not involve as many people. It's when you feel like you keep having to add something, you're not confident with the dialogue or the strength of the character you've created. So you
Yeah.
add all these bit ones, and then eventually,
Yeah.
as you get more proficient, you start to pare that back, so you have only the characters that you need.
Mm.
I've seen with these productions, that's one of their biggest failings, is that they have far too many people, and
Yeah.
it's the writers,
Far
I
too
think.
many sub stories that they don't really
Yeah,
need. We quite often we've questioned, why is that person in it? Why couldn't they have done it this way? Yeah. Did they have to fill out the hour and 30 minutes? And
but once again, that's about confidence in it as a writer.
yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
you can't tell a simple story, or you can't be descriptive enough, or you can't write the dialogue enough. Like if they
Mm,
had to give Claire, sorry, a bit more depth and explore their psychic abilities a bit more, that would have been a compelling story, and she would have been the linchpin, or the solving the problem.
mm,
They've had to made him a bit more effective and sinister instead of like borderline comical.
mm, yeah,
Uh Preston's son was really only a plot device to get Preston there.
yeah, yeah.
It
Because
almost
nothing.
could have.
Did you see it though? There were guns just about to shoot his dad. It's your dad. Oh, that's all right then. I nearly shot the bastard.
Yeah,
Oh God, that was funny.
but that's you can nitpick those sort of bits that but that was that was the thing at the time, so that maybe it is finding their way from. I think there's still this this is the tail end of the transition from stage play to film.
Yeah.
I think, honestly, it's only really now the 1970s that we see cinema.
Yeah. Yeah.
Correct me if you think I'm wrong, but I honestly think this is still the
I think
tail end of
it was very limited. You had classic films that I think Hitchcock was a classic director. He was class right to the, and he didn't have this problem of getting too many side stories going in his films. And I
I
think
still love Alfred Hitchcock Presents.
they were very limited. These class directors who never had the problem of getting too many characters in. Um, I mean, not
Well, you think about Psycho, it's essentially 3 characters.
yeah.
You've got What's Her
It's
Face, who steals the money initially. You've Norman
yeah,
Bates.
yeah.
You've
The
the
detective,
girl who comes afterwards, and then was it the inspector? It's her husband coming afterwards.
Prendergast, isn't it? Prendergast, the inspector
Yeah,
or secret, and what's he called? Private detective.
yeah. There's maybe
Yeah,
5 characters in the entire
yeah,
movie.
yeah. And he utilizes them so well. Each character has its own backstory, really, and there's no offputs of from their backstory, their initial backstory. I mean, if you think the girl goes in, yes, she stole the money, but it doesn't go into her. Oh, she was married to this psychopath who, didn't like her, who had 4 children, and it just doesn't go into
No,
that way.
didn't need
And
to because that's not the story.
the private detective, they didn't go into which company he worked for, or what other cases he had on his caseload. He was just there to track her down. That was it, and he got killed. End of. Norman Bates, even Norman Bates, you had the he was a mummy's boy, brought up in a covenant of being a mummy's boy. You found out why he was a mummy's boy, but that was it. And it didn't go into all the abuse that he'd received,
It was
and
hinted and implied because that's obviously the
into the fire. That was it. And I think those sort of directors in films were very few and far between in the 60s. You had this Hammer horror that was, like you said, more radio playish in sketch type of horror. Yeah,
yeah. That's what I mean, and you can just see it. But we're seeing the it's moving further away from that. Like when we go back to like Quatermass, for example, like you could just see it was purely a stage play. It was all still in
yeah,
that mentality. You could just see it
yeah.
moving along.
You
This
could
is still got
turn off the screen and just have the sound on that Quatermass
yeah,
thing,
and just listen, and
and
hear the
visualize it
story.
yourself. Yeah, yeah,
I liked Harry's character in this. He had once again, because there's too many characters,
yeah,
we could have done without Paul, was it? The son. We could have done without Preston
yeah,
Jr.
yeah.
Harry
He's
didn't get enough because he was the photographer. He could
yeah,
have they could have done so much more with him. Him and Claire, had them on the expedition with Sir Basil.
yeah,
He at least gave that's the first time I've seen somebody properly try to fight back against the mummy.
yeah, yeah.
Everyone else usually just goes, like even previous movies, even in
Yeah,
the Universal Monsters one, everyone just goes, and he actually went for it, and I
yeah,
think that's one of the best fight scenes in a Hammer movie I've seen.
yeah, yeah, definitely. Um, That was the scene where you saw the suit, wasn't it? Was that the
No,
one?
it's the scene where he's going back into the
Oh
museum.
yeah,
It's the scene in the doorway where you get the back shot and you just see the
yeah,
suit, and you're like, oh my god, what the hell?
yeah. Velcro,
Yep.
zippies. Yeah,
No, that scene was really good and actually used quite good camera work because you see the mummies just off camera as well,
yeah,
and just the bits you needed to see, and you didn't see the full papier mâché mask.
yeah.
And Harry was committing to the role of
Mm,
somebody desperate, not a fighter but trying to fight back.
mm. I,
And of
I,
course, he couldn't do that. You know what I mean? They're
I
effects are
didn't
limited.
look it
So,
up.
hmm?
I didn't look it up, but were the Egyptian police ranks the same as the British police? Because they were calling the Egyptian policeman in charge inspector. And I'm just wondering.
They look like army ranks. He looked like he was wearing army rank pips. So I
Yeah,
don't know how I don't know
inspector.
how
They
they're.
were calling him inspector, and I thought I don't remember when I was in Egypt the police being called inspector.
Yeah, I never encountered them. I've only been once, so. Uh, no, I don't know.
Yeah. Chris, do you know?
Right, everyone, get googling. Come on, chat. As we get to show how smart you are.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, everything else goes pretty much. Hasman keeps reading out the scroll. He takes the shroud. He reads it out to
yeah.
basically punish the
Oh, when
transgressors.
that cleaner guy finds the body that was the comedy scene, wasn't it? He
Oh
was
my god, that's some strong cupboards. Like, don't make cupboards like that anymore.
no, but he dusts it off and then he like waves at the body, doesn't he? And goes up, thinks, "Oh, I'll have a drink." Opens the door. Now it must have been some weight on that door to have a body hanging there. He opens the door, doesn't see the corpse, takes a swig of the bottle, looks around, takes another swig, and then goes, "There's a dead body there."
Yeah, I was expecting the music change, like Carry On type music. It was a
Yeah,
bit too comedic. Once
yeah,
again, that's where um I know you need moments that maybe that's the equivalent of moment of levity in a horror movie.
yeah,
I think we'll have to go back to 1960 where we would have been scared because obviously we're not even one bit remotely. There's nothing terrifying in these movies.
no,
So I think you have to sort of transport yourself back because that's the thing about movies is you need that moment of comedy, brief levity moment to bring you
yeah,
back down before the horror. And maybe that was the equivalent of back then.
yeah,
It just seems so hammy now because, yeah, things have moved on so much.
yeah. I
That would have
liked
been
it.
about everyone's giggling and laughing, and then the cupboard opens, you know.
Yeah, he doesn't see it. Mm. Cracking. True wisdom is known. I know nothing. I am very wise in that way. Hmm. Is that right, Chris?
uh,
Chris, Confucius say, single man who go to Bangkok, who go to Thailand, Bangkok.
oh dear. No, what was a yeah, it all sort of comes ahead. Like I said, the bit with Claire, the bit that Claire has the answer, how to basically just go and apologize, and Hasmeed wasn't having it, sort of kicks
Hmm.
everything off. And yeah, the fight ensues, everyone gets involved in, and Claire reads out the final inscription to basically reverse the
Yeah,
spell.
yeah. And then the mummy just disintegrates.
And the cover of the body as well. What was that? What he was doing? Oh, the rug to throw him out the window.
Yeah.
Oh, that was terrible.
Yeah. when he landed, it was like the old Carry On films when they chuck a doll out the window.
Yeah. Oh dear.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, that bit at the end with the plaster of Paris and the crumbling and stuff, and
My Chris, my nan said to me one day in church, "Oh, I think I've just done a silent fart," and I said, "No, Nan, I think you need to change the batteries in your hearing aid."
yeah. But oh no, this is a good story. Not the worst entry. Like there's been a lot worse.
I think they set the scene brilliantly.
Mm.
I think they could have done with filtering out some of the storylines, the sub stories, the subplots in it, and yeah, it's one of the better entries into the Hammer thing. Okay, there were some dodgy things going on, but if you don't look for them, you don't see them.
And the big thing is you need to transport yourself back to that period.
Yeah.
You need to understand the period it's from and the level of movie making.
Yeah. And in that, the just like today, there were mistakes made, but no, I thought it was one of the better ones to date of Hammer Horrors entries, considering some of the rubbish they've previously put in previous years. But
Yeah, and that's
what's next in the line.
We have Quatermass in the pit.
Oh, is it the same cast?
That's what I'm gonna. Mysterious artifact is on Earth in London, and famous scientist Bernard Quatermass is called in to define its origins and explain its strange effects on people. Andrew Keir. Now I have to go and look up all the Quatermasses because he played the. I don't think it is.
No, I don't think so.
No, because it's Brian Dunleavy who played Quatermass in the first two.
Yeah, it's quite a cast that I've never heard of before as well.
This is the more famous one. People seem to know this one.
It is, yeah, but it's one that I know of. Quatermass in the pit.
Oh, and John Gore. They're releasing box sets at the moment. That's currently out at the moment. They're doing a Quatermass, the Quatermass in the Pit box set.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I look forward to this. Huh?
Yeah. No, it's not. It doesn't even look remotely the same.
The only person I recognise who's been in previous Hammer films is Barbara Shelley, and she's been in previous Hammer films. I'm sure I recognise the name. Another actress who, a bit like Michael Ripper, who always had work in bit parts. Yeah, she's quite nice in the pit. What else was she in?
You too, Dale. Thanks for stopping by. Obviously, we'll.
Oh, she was in
anyway.
She was in Rasputin the Mad Monk, Dracula Prince of Darkness, The Gorgon.
She's been in quite a few.
Yeah, she's been in quite a few. I know I recognise the name, but again, she's mostly a sort of jobbing actor, a bit like Michael Ripper. He's sort of she's been in a few, where she's been in 4 or 5 episodes of a series. Doctor Who. She was in. I won't put her down with that. She was in EastEnders.
Must have needed a few quid. Must have paid some bills. God.
Blake 7, 2 Ronnies, Pride and Prejudice. Yeah. So that's the only one I did recognise the name of was Barbara Shelley.
I wonder if, because I haven't seen this in years.
Bye, Dell.
I
Love
wonder,
you.
I wonder if this Quatermass is going to be less abrasive. Because I found the character in the first two very abrasive.
He's very American, wasn't he?
Mm.
Yeah. And he had that American arrogance in his character.
Unnecessary, because it just rubs you up the wrong way.
Yeah.
You need to identify with the protagonist. You need to, like, you don't want to be rooting for the monster if you're normal. Like, but have him come along, you're like, go on, aliens, wipe out everybody. He's a
yeah. You start feeling sorry for the aliens. A bit like when I went to see Phantom of the Opera, and everybody else was against the Phantom, and I thought, oh, poor Phantom. He's been shafted by this girl, Christine, who's used him to get singing lessons, and now she's dumped him.
yeah, and
that's how I saw Phantom of the Opera.
Yeah, I can see that. Especially flipping stage lovies.
Yeah,
they're horrible. They stab each other in the back over nothing. He is. That's the thing. He's so. I know what they're trying to do. They're trying to do the genius sort of absent-minded professor, just no time for people. But definitely in the first two, he's very abrasive. He's not a likable character, so you can't sort of get on board with him.
No, and Quatermass in the Pit is the one that if it's on TV, you know it's Quatermass in the Pit.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's the well known of the series. So. Yeah, look forward to that one. 2 weeks' time.
That'll be cool. But there you go. That's us for another one. Good to see you back, Steve.
Yeah.
Who'll get through these yet?
A bit thinner, but
here I'm working on it. I've started my journey. I'm like,
you just need to get gastroenteritis or a kidney infection.
Oh, okay.
I had a kidney infection before and lost about 4 kilograms.
Well, the way Thames Water's operating at the moment, that's probably on the cards.
Just drink. Just go down to the River Thames and drink some of the shit from there.
Well, you don't drink from the Thames. You take a slice, don't you? You bring your knife and fork.
Oh yeah.
Take a slice on the top.
Yeah.
Oh god, that's yeah.
I actually got a picture that I took of the River Thames overlooking the big wheel, Millennium.
Yeah, the Millennium Wheel. Yep.
And I actually took, but I went on Photoshop and coloured in the river into something a lot better, you know. Yeah, and I put a shark in it as well.
God, have a mutant shark. God. Actually, last time I was down that way, not driving, was when I went to pay my respects to the Queen. You know, I was walking down that, but didn't go anywhere near the river. But even just you could still smell it. The closest I've ever been was when I first came back over here, and during the pandemic, I went for walks down by there, and you know, everywhere. It was like 28 days later, everywhere was deserted. So you're able just to walk around unpainted. But yeah, I went down the steps, like goes the wood, and just saw the water. I'm like, oh my god, all the floaty bits and stuff.
Yeah. I know what it's like jumping into crap like that because back in the year 2000, I had to jump into Swansea Marina to pull out an old woman who'd fallen in, and no kidding, Swansea Marina is exactly like the River Thames. I came out when they helped me out after I got the woman out, and I was covered in goo. It was like, oh my god, you know. And luckily, all the apartments around, there was a couple who said, "Oh, you come in and have a shower, mate. You know, you're going to need it because no taxi's going to allow you in a taxi." You know, so they actually let me use the shower, which was good. But it's just like oil, muck, bloody dead fishes, and
that's the thing. They stopped it with Loch Ness. Basically, we used to be able to go to mussels and relics and stuff. You know, and it got that polluted that they had to stop. We were warned not to do it anymore. It's a bit crap.
Yeah.
But the thing with it, the river lagging used to be really bad for that. And then what they did is they actually put air bubbles, you know, for a fish tank. And all along the river lagging at the bridges, you just see these air lines and the bubbles get up. And within a year, it friggin' changed the river. Like you started getting the seagulls back again and fishing and all
Yeah.
sorts. It's great.
Yeah.
It's easy.
Oxygen, that's what it needs. It needs it's pure oxygen, isn't it?
But obviously, Lagan's a lot smaller than the Thames, so
Yeah.
but then be able to do the Zorban and stuff there, and the boats go back out, and obviously it was we still have the rowing clubs and stuff. So
Even down Cardiff, there's a great big like lake type thing on Canary, not Canary, the Cardiff Bay, and you get the rowing clubs rowing in it. You get the fishermen fishing in it, and then you get the signs on the outside saying, "Warning: Do not enter water. Contains toxic green algae."
yeah,
And you think, are the fish that the fishermen getting then going to be mutated bass or something
probably
like
they fight
that?
back. Yeah. Well, that was the joke when we watched Phantom of the Opera. Sure, the flipping Thames was pristine and the sewers were gleaming.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
oh god, it's actually better water that set than actually comes out of your tap. But hey ho, that's what fantasy's all about, isn't it? You can set reality aside. But yeah, there you go. Another tangent.
There we go.
We will be back in 2 weeks' time.
2 weeks
Peter Mass
time.
in the pit. Carrying on. We're over halfway. We're getting to like the last third of the Hammer movies. We're entering into the 70s soon, where it all gets interesting.
Yeah. After the Hammer movies, we'll do the Spanner movies.
Yeah. There you go. Last from one. All right then. Thanks everyone.
Yes, Chris, it was one of the better ones. We love the tangents. Are they a pop group or something?
It's a double act. But there you go. Until next time, go up to the channel, do the technical things, and remember to keep it creepy, keep it horrific.